listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Happy Endings After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Happy Endings After Show.
Yay! What's up, everybody? Bing is for doing, and we are doing another after show for Happy Endings. We're in Season 3, Episode 6, To Serb With Love. I am your host, Kelly, and joining us tonight are...
Thomas Piland to Polish for love. To Poland for love. That made no sense whatsoever.
And we have a special super fan of the show joining us.
Who is filling 2 seats tonight. So he's got some big shoes, a big guy.
Spicy and Matt
Spicy
are off partying together somewhere, I think.
Yeah.
But tell us your name.
My name is Farren Kusu. I'm filling in for Spicy Marty.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it can bring some spicy hotness, but I can definitely bring a sweet and sour. Definitely.
Oh, you went there. That's good. We like that.
Well, we had such a fun episode tonight. We got to meet the Kirkovich parents, which I was very excited about. In our preview show and a couple shows before, we had talked about the parents coming to visit, and this episode did not disappoint. I thought it was great. So let's start out with Jane and her speech that she was trying to make for her to celebrate her dad's, what was it, 25th?
25th anniversary of the mattress store that he owns, because as Penny mentions later, memory phone always remembers. And, but don't you think, so she's going over the speech, and Jane is just so, like, she has to get everything right. She has to be like daddy's little girl. She's always on top of everything. You know what I thought was the most interesting thing off the bat? Her dad and her are, #1, so similar. He worked in sales for years, and now she sells cars. I just thought it was neat that they kind of showed, like, I never would have guessed.
Well, we see the dynamic between the parents and the two of them. Alex and Jane obviously are sisters. So to see the 4 of them kind of, you see that Alex is like her, very much like her mom.
Definitely.
And Jane is so much like her dad. So it was a challenge. He doesn't laugh at anything. He's kind of, he's a tough crowd to please. And usually she goes for the heartfelt, kind of lovey-dovey, passionate speech. But this year she wanted to be different. She wanted to do some comedy. And Brad was a little discouraging and telling her that was kind of a bad idea.
She wants to make her dad laugh for sure. And I think that she's like the son that they never have. And it's just like put so much pressure on her because she's the older sister, so she has to make. And now I understand why she's such a perfectionist. Like at all times, she's just like have this thing about her like, oh God, I have to make this thing perfect, you know? Yeah,
she's a little nuts about it. And excuse me, I like too in this episode how the friends kind of switch around and we see different couples. She actually goes to Max for help on how to, get a joke ready. And
with the projector slide. Like, she had the whole thing set up, of course, just the way Jane would do it. And it was just funny. And so she's like, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to help me. And so he's like trying to channel. And he made some joke about, like, some horrible Jewish joke about like, Nazis running or something. Or, I'm running from Nazis. And I was like, whoa. I mean, it was just a funny joke that he made. And, like, they went over. And, I mean, I give her props, though. Like, she definitely tried to think out of the box. And she really did have a very good joke that her dad ended up liking.
Well, she really needed to do her research. She wanted to really kind of get in there. She went through all of his favorite things, all of his interests, and wanted a joke that encompassed all of them. And after all
there's
of this...
literally nothing on that list. I'm just saying. I'm just like, anyone is even interested
Well, what was it? World War II, Chevy Chase, the talk show host.
Which I've never heard of Chevy Chase at all. If anybody has, tweet us or let us know.
Definitely.
I have never. That is one I did not hear. What was the other ones? There was.
Well, the one
It was
thing
like
that
World of Warcraft or something.
no, it was World War II. That
World
he
War
liked.
II that he likes. Yeah.
And then we found out, from Alex that he likes Gallagher smashing the watermelons. Like that's the one thing that can always make him laugh.
Definitely.
And Jane and Brad just don't get it. They just do not find that funny. So she just kind of went through everything, was really trying to, make a difference and do something different for her dad. And as we're at this party, he even tells her, "I'm looking forward to your speech. I want to take a nap." So she's like, okay. So she has her joke all ready. She runs it by Brad, and it just kind of goes right over his head. He just doesn't get it. And
that's when she leaves him with her dad, and he kind of got nervous.
Well, because it flashes back, because when he's saying to that her dad is a tough crowd, it flashes back, and he has this awkward. Have you ever been like in a room with somebody that you don't really know, and you're a little self-conscious, and you say, you're trying to make conversation, so it's like, how about that game tonight, or how about that weather, just something very generic, and that's kind of what he does. Is so parties, huh? And her dad is like, really?
Well, what's interesting is that like I feel like she. Her dad doesn't give Brad the love that he gives to Dave. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's a racist thing, because it's just like when they first met each other, I expect more of an interaction between them, But I guess what they want to create that because it's the father-in-law, the son-in-law kind of thing.
Well, to me, it looks like they don't have very much in common, and it's hard.
Definitely.
With Dave's character, it's hard not to just like him because he's so much more. I don't know, like Brad's personality and Dave's personality. It's just a little easier. To me, and I don't want this to sound really bad because I don't really mean it as bad as it's going to say.
Just spit it out.
He's kind of like a little puppy that you just kind of want to.
Who?
Dave.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He has that kind of thing about him that you just can't really be mean to him. You can't dislike him.
Well, Alex is such a mess anyway, so they're like, gosh, take her off her.
Exactly.
Even when he addressed, an issue we'll get to in a bit, like, he wasn't really that upset with Dave, just more like, Alex, like, thanks, Alex has big shoes to fill, with Jane. Like, Jane does everything, and Alex never measures up, and I hope they touch on that later, because she does have a little inferiority complex, but she is a little ditzy, so maybe she doesn't realize it. And then whereas, like, Jane is so perfect. Jane does everything. Like, I don't think any man would be good enough for Jane in her dad's eyes. Like, it's just, that's my baby girl. No one is going to measure up to her.
Exactly.
And it doesn't matter who he is, how successful. That's Jane. And Alex is like, let's just take care of Alex. That's kind of what I took, because if you saw, like, Alex and her mom eating, before they're going over the speech, it's just those dynamics that you touched on earlier, it was really funny to see. Like, they each have their spot in the family. And
can I add something?
Yeah, go.
So Alex and her mom, like at first when you look at them, because they're so beautiful and they're so skinny, you wouldn't think that like her mom is like crazy on buffet. They'll be like, this is a trick that you need to do. You have to flirt with a carver so he can cut you the biggest piece. I just cracked.
Oh, she had a whole strategy on how to eat at the buffet line. That you start with your meats, you forget the vegetables because they fill you with nonsense.
Exactly.
and then you make good eye contact or good chemistry with the
carver.
Sexual.
Yeah, the sexual
or I thought
contact.
you said sensual.
No,
sensual
it
contact.
was sexual.
Sexual contact, because your stomach will thank you later.
Yes.
But you don't have, I have my little secrets when I go eat. I have my little secrets on how, like, you talk or you make small talk with people, and they usually hook you up with extra food. I don't know if you guys, I kind of relate
Well,
to
being
that.
an Asian, so buffet is all I eat. So I'm just saying, like, seafood buffet, I just like sneak in there somehow, get in front of the line, get all the seafood. I don't care about the meat.
You're the one that does that.
I do.
So you're the one that piles like 3 plates high before you sit
crap!
down?
Yes, that's me. I'm sorry.
But
well,
you guys don't have that, like, you don't have your little tricks, like when you go somewhere and eat, like.
Honestly, I'm not a big buffet style fan, so I don't
you know
I
what?
don't really have a plan of attack.
I'll use some of the advice. I'll turn on the sexual chemistry thing with the chef. I'll be like, hey, give me some.
Maybe you can get the biggest lobster tail.
Oh,
You just might get dessert.
Oh!
Anyway. Oh, that's a good joke. Anyway. But, snap. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I definitely think, like, her speech, back to Jane's speech, like, she worked really hard, and then when Brad went and, like, spilled the beans, like...
Well, he stole it right from under her because he's in that awkward situation with her dad. Again, he's like, so, the parties, huh? And her dad is like, really? You're still on that? Seriously? And then he's like, you want to hear a joke? And he's hesitant about it because he really didn't get it either.
Right.
So he, and he kills it. And I love how she catches him at the end and he does his whole, like, boom. And then she looks at him and he, like, retracts it. He, like, pulls it back and puts it away in a very Brad style. It was hilarious.
Right.
Well, maybe that's why she disappeared, because Jane always over prepares. So when she got that watermelon, maybe she was like, "Oh, I have to have Plan B in case this doesn't work."
Well,
maybe
plus
that's where
she's
she went away
she's always the dutiful hostess. So she's probably walking around mingling. She set up everything. She pretty much handles it all. So she's got to make her rounds and make sure everybody's having a good time. And it's very important to her. But I like how she had, that Plan B. She came up with it pretty quickly.
I don't know where she got that stash, but I'm just like, wow, where do you get that?
When she addressed them, well, Serbians. I was like, okay. It's just like, well, it's not very natural. She's just like, hey, let's, It was just kind of funny.
Well, and after the joke goes over well, after Brad tells the joke, then we learn that the only other thing that makes her dad laugh is physical comedy, which Alex had touched on before, but he says it out loud. Very physical comedy is what he really likes. So she's like, okay, you stole my joke. I have nothing left. I'm just going to go for it. And she goes full on Gallagher with the hair, the mustache, the striped shirt. I mean, everything. It was fantastic.
And she's like, Dad, this is for you. And boom. Boom. Faints. Cuts away. Brad's like, babe, are you okay?
She actually did mean to hit the watermelon, not her forehead.
And she's like, when she came to conscious, she's like, did he laugh? Did Dad laugh? And her dad's like, I was just like
he can't even ask her if she's okay. He's laughing so hard.
That's funny because I expect that's kind of like a Penny's moment. That's never Jane's moment. You know what I mean?
Well, and it kind of makes you think, was it an accident or did she plan that out as type A as Jane is?
That's true.
Jane isn't that. I mean, she's not that klutzy. Like she's very.
No, that's why I'm. Yeah.
So
that's
did
why
she
it's so
mean
funny.
to? I mean, that's the question. Did she mean to hit the watermelon, or did she just want to go just go for
Go
it?
hard
just went so,
and might get a brain tumor later on. Yep, I think so.
Well, it go I have two sisters, and it kind of goes like a lot of times girls like to please their dad. They just like to be like, Dad, I did this, Dad, I did that, and versus the brother role, you're like, oh, Dad, I did this, whatever.
Yeah.
And I would say she kind of did. She really wanted to show like, Dad, I did it.
Yeah.
And then boom. Yeah. I mean, whether it was intentional or not, she was gonna overdo it, and I think she could have just gotten caught in the moment and just boom. She fell pretty well though.
And she had that big red welt on her forehead.
Kudos to the makeup department. I would say that.
It was great. And all she was worried about was if it made her dad laugh.
And I believe we have a special caller.
Ooh, yay! Who is on the phone? Is it who I think it is?
Hey yo! It's Ronnie Jr. What's up, you guys?
Ronnie is back.
What's up, Ronnie?
Up?
I think the watermelon thing was 100% intentional. Like that was intense, and it was proving the love or trying to get the acceptance of the dad. So I think that's the type A personality as we always talk about.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when she goes for it, she definitely goes for it. I mean, did you see how quick she put that costume on? It was like 3.2 seconds.
I think even that. I mean, she was like, that was like, she probably had buttons and ripped the other thing off. Like,
it was awesome.
It was awesome.
I love this episode. But real quick, I want to remind you guys to please go to iTunes and go to download our podcast. It's free. Tell your friends. Let us know what you think. Do you think Jane hit that watermelon on purpose, or was it an accident, and did it kind of mess with her whole plan and just kind of work out because it was funny? But please rate and comment. We love to hear your comments, and we want to keep doing what we do, and it really, really helps us out. And we're going to have a special guest on next week, too, but no one is as good as Ronnie Jr. We miss you.
Mr. Jr. Your last name's Jr., right?
You guys, it's so funny. I haven't watched the show, on the weekly basis like you guys do every week in studio. And when you go without the show, on a weekly basis, it is so funny to watch. Like, I was falling out laughing today. It's that kind of show that you you do whatever you do without your week, and then you go plug into this. It was hysterical. Like, all the penny stuff, the nickel stuff. Like, I just...
What did you think of the Alex and Dave?
It really, really made me laugh, just like the old days.
Oh, yeah, no, it's fantastic. I mean, that brings us right into Alex and Dave going back into this party. You know, we find out that Alex tells Dave he doesn't really have to go, and everybody, you know, and then Penny jumps in, which was very interesting because there was that little bit of love triangle between the three of them. But yes, now Penny has a boyfriend, and apparently now she's a whole relationship guru.
For 11 days.
For 11 days.
No.
So into it. I love it.
11 nights.
11 nights. Oh, 11
days.
nights.
And then she's like 11 nights.
11 days.
She's a lady of the night. Apparently.
Yeah. So she convinces Dave, and it does make sense because sometimes in a relationship, even though one party says no, you really don't have to do this, when it comes to a family thing, usually it means you don't have to, but if you don't, it kind of sucks if you don't, so you should do it anyway. You know, it's kind of one of those things where even though we say no, we mean you should really be there. But in this case...
With Alex, it means no.
No means no.
Don't show up, please.
She had not told her parents that they were back together, and her dad is still pretty kind of, ticked
well,
that he
spent
retire, all that money.
He's not going to retire on time now, and if he's anything like Jane, everything has to be done a certain way, and he is not going to be able to hit that retirement.
Definitely.
Which he reminded him of. Well, so she's she's chowing down on some sausage or whatever with her mom, and all of a sudden Alex is chowing down with her mom, and all of a sudden Dave walks up, and Dave, she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, hey, just wanted to join the family," and her mom was kind of surprised, and she's like,
well, but the key thing he says is, since we're serious now, and she's like, serious about, because her mom is like, serious, what do you mean?
Serious,
and she plays it off, we're all serious.
It's post 9/11. I mean, we're serious since the earthquake, since that floating pile of trash in the Pacific, and she's like, I'm gonna escort him out, and that's when they have their talk, and I mean, what did you think of that, Ronnie? Like, did you when Alex and Dave had that talk and she pulled him aside? I mean, this was Dave actually like trying to be the man and stand up for his woman. I mean, what did you think about how she responded to that?
I just like to see her shaky bakey. I like seeing all the Kukovic's act that way. That's where we get the best comedy, whether it's the type A personality, where it's Alex trying to cover stuff. I think she just, there's a sense of reality that she is trying to go forward in this relationship, but doesn't know how to address or assess it. So, it opens up for great conversation, and then it opens up for some depth within these two characters as well, And I like that Dave showed up. I mean, that was definitely a fun thing. And as Kelly said, you knew he had to do it, but you didn't know if he was going to do it. Thank God he did do it. Thank God he showed up.
Definitely.
Well, and I love that the reason behind her saying that he had, I mean, obviously the real reason is she hadn't told her parents, but the reason she gives the gang about why he's not coming, because his food truck got booked for a quinceanera, and she says that 15-year-old Mexican girls love Dave. What did they call him, Thomas?
She said that he is, well, she's pronounced it differently, but basically he is the vaquero blanco del fuego, which she translated to as the fiery white cowgirl. And no one, I don't know if you guys caught that, but I was like,
I did. I caught
vaquera, but it's vaquero, that's masculine, so he's like cowboy, the fiery white cowboy, which is funny that
she pronounced it cowgirl.
Yeah.
And I love, like I was telling you guys, I haven't watched these episodes as much as you have. I love her intensity. Like, she sells it as if that's what it is, and she's so, it was so funny, like, to hear Alex just be the goofy girl that we see on every episode. I love that. I missed that, you know what I mean?
Well, and this kind of showed, like, I mean, she didn't get deep about it, which they may hopefully they touch in the next episode, but she's very embarrassed about that wedding and how she walked out on him.
Well, and I think it really started to hit her at the end, because what happens is when they go off and she's going to escort him out and they have that conversation, by the end of it, Dave's like, you know what, let's just tell everybody we're in this together. I'll do it. Don't worry about it. Let's go do this. And she's like, okay, let's do it. And then that's when he runs into her dad, and all he's talking about is, hey, remember that time I spent a lot of money and you didn't get married?
Just take the gas out.
Yeah. And he said it twice. Yeah, remember that time he spent a lot of money and you didn't get married? And he keeps kind of going on and on.
I love how her dad just like him feel bad, but the fact is that he should be the one who feel bad because, you know, he was left at the altar.
Right.
Right. So her dad's still like, oh, remember I paid for that wedding?
Yeah, and her dad is still driving it home.
He did kind of say, though. He did say, he's like, well, you know, it shows off that you can be friends with my daughter after she did that to you. So what have you been up to? And the mom's like, are you dating? Oh, yeah, Canadian. Like, you know, I'm just... all those, yeah, you know, Canadian women, yeah.
Yeah.
And she looks at him like...
they start, saying, you know, after she humiliated you, she emasculated
castrated
you. She,
castrated
she did all of these things to you, and it really starts to set into his head, and now he's second-guessing because it's embarrassing, and a lot of times it's hard to wash away what everybody thinks of you. So, I mean, that, you know, that's... for him to come back and just, but his character is one of those people that just doesn't hold grudges. You know, he does for a second, it kind of washes off, and he's like, let's move on. And that's what's so great about his character. He doesn't, you know, he's very forgiving. And, you know, maybe a little too easy. I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about this whole situation. Because when it's brought up this way, it kind of is, you know, wow, that's a big deal to be left at the altar by, you know.
Well, he needs to have more of a backbone with her. That's my opinion. Like, Alex really needs someone that can tell her this is what's going to happen at the end of the day, X, Y, and Z. And, I mean, not, like, in a very authoritative way, but just needs to have that backbone. And I think Dave needs to find, and today was a way for him to show that. It took a little struggle on his part because he didn't want to offend people, but I really feel if Dave can get that backbone, that's something that will...
That's actually notes for all the men who date the Kirkovich sister. You know, they need backbones because Brad is, like... absolutely no backbone to him.
Well, when he's up at the bar, her dad's drinking scotch and he's ordering a skinny margarita.
But I think with Jane, a backbone wouldn't work. She would, I mean, I think she would just drive straight through that.
I think they have a really good dynamic. But,
they do.
You know, after that happened and Dave is like, yeah, I'm dating. And then he, you know, he runs outside and is kind of thinking about this whole situation. And Brad goes out and gives him a pep talk and, you know, tells him, you know, this happens in families. People are going to give you a hard time. It's not a big deal. And, you know, my aunt calls Jane cocaine.
Skinny, white.
Skinny and white. And what did
a disparagement to, like, the black community is what what they call her, something like that. And his uncle still calls her that.
Yeah, and then, you know, Dave kind of calls him out, and he's like, yeah, as you're stealing Jane's jokes to kind of please her dad, and he's like, yo, do as I say, not as I do.
Bro. And then he walks off.
But it's a good point. I mean, if this is the kind of relationship, if they're going to be in a relationship, you're just going to have to face it. That's what happens, you know, when you have a breakup so public. And I like that he went back in, you know, kind of ruining stealing a little bit of Jane's thunder with her whole Gallagher thing, but he's like, this is how it is, this is what I'm going to do, and I think her parents will respect him more for that.
I was actually kind of scared for him because, you know, if this kind of thing happened in the future, because he made that speech in public, and now they're all watching this couple, okay, they're back together, let's wait what's going to happen to them after, you know, like, 2 months or something.
Well, sometimes when you make something so publicly official, that's when you both get kind of scared, and then, you know, I don't know. What do you think, Ron? Do you think they're going to break up next episode?
No, I think Dave is so innocent. You know, that's why he works so good with Alex anyways. And what you were saying, like, is this information in his head, is it going to make him embarrassed, or is it going to give pressure? I think, like, he could take all that and really have to think about it. It was a fun moment for the show, but he's still going to be just as innocent. And I think in future episodes, we'll continue to see him have to, you know, keep that innocence, because he's a nice guy. Like, he is the nice guy. He's funny. He's goofy. And I don't think it's going to be an issue with them. I mean, it'll be funny, though, but it'll be fine. That's Dave. Dave is the truck guy, like the food truck guy. He's cool.
I know. He is. I really do like his character a lot. And, you know, he wasn't in a V-neck today. He was in a suit.
That's very impressive.
He was
in a shirt and tie.
He's not the surfy dude.
No. But I liked Alex's parents. I hope to Alex Jane's parents. I hope that we get to see a little bit more of them, because I love the two actors that played the parents anyway.
They're a good fit though, personality-wise, because you have the very, which it's just like Jane and Brad.
Yeah.
You have the very dominant, and a little more ditzy.
Yeah.
Did you guys like those parents, the Kirkovich parents, better than? I mean, because we've had some great parents on this show. We've had, you know, Damon Wayans, the original, for the you know, the Damon Wayans, the Brad character, and then obviously Penny's mother we saw before. I mean, we've seen a lot of really
Megan
funny
Mullally,
parents. What do you think comparing to the other ones? that the Kirkoviches brought to the table. Did they stand out, or what did you guys think?
Well, personally for me, I mean, it was Shooter McGavin from from Happy Gilmore. I mean, that's like the ultimate for me. I love it. So, and also, I can't think of her name right now, but that the actress that played Alex's and Jane's mom is from Airplane. I mean, she is just amazing. She also played Ryan Reynolds' mom in Just Friends, and it just has great comedic timing and is just hilarious. And it's really a kind of a toss-up because I think that they've cast this show so well that the parents fit very nicely with each of these characters. So it's kind of hard to pick a favorite. But the dynamic between these two sisters is so on opposite ends that I think the parents were perfect. So I really didn't answer your question. But...
Yeah, you want to go back to that for a minute?
No, I don't have an answer. They're all equally amazing.
Exactly,
What do you
exactly.
think? Do you have a favorite?
No, I was just glad to see him, and I don't know if I love the Kirkoviches as much as you guys do, because I know you guys. We last season we talked about it, like Kirkovich Way. It was like a big episode, but I was very impressed with these parents. Yes, like I thought I liked all the other parents more, but they brought it today. Like I was all about the Kirkoviches. Didn't know that I'd like it as much, and I definitely did.
Well, to me too, it kind of makes sense for Alex to have a racist swearing parrot. Like, you know what I mean? It's just it just kind of fits in with that whole thing. I think it's a great addition to that family. Like, it just makes sense.
Well, they want to make it somewhat dysfunctional, you know. They don't want to make it like completely perfect normal family.
Yeah, it's a little bit quirky and it's a little bit, a little bit sophisticated, a little bit quirky at the same time.
Well, because perfect would be Modern Family, which is another show. This
this is great.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
This is like kind of, in a way, like, I like the way they cast the families because it shows, like, kind of lets you laugh at your own family, because no one's family is perfect, and everyone has those couple people you're like, oh,
that's
geez.
true.
Oh, if it weren't for blood, I wouldn't be talking to you, you know? And so it's like, this kind of lets you laugh at those people in your family where, you're like, past the gravy, what's going to come out of your mouth next, like that, you know?
Well, the only one we haven't seen so far, right, is Max's parents, right?
I don't think
season 1 we did. We saw the parents.
Max's
at
parents?
least one time.
Did we?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah, when he came out, like he had to talk to his
right. Oh, yeah.
You're right.
Oh, we lost headsets. He really liked that, by the way.
They didn't nail it as much as all the other parents that we saw, but as we see with all the parents on, each character, it does the classic. Oh, that's why this person is this way. That's why Brad is this way. That's why the sisters act this way. You see the extension of the family going off what Thomas just said. It is like your family. You act sometimes the way you do based on your upbringing and the things that you learned as a kid. So yeah, no, we've seen almost every parent, I think.
Yeah, no, seasons. You're right. I totally forgot about that. Right. Well, that brings us to Penny and Max. Probably one of my favorites.
That's so funny.
Really, Kelly? Really?
Yes, that's so me and Thomas.
You know that, Ronnie?
Oh.
But you have relationships with people when they're your best friend and you hang out all the time and they take up most of your time. When they start paying attention to somebody other than you, it's a little bit hard to take. And that's what we saw. I mean, poor Max, he was like the fifth wheel every time, to the point where it was, physically they were kicking him out of the booth at the bar twice.
That's the game that they were playing with him this whole entire episode. That's
Well, and they were calling him Roz from Frasier.
It was the fifth wheel on that show.
Yeah, which goes back to them making references to so many things that we grew up with, which I think is fantastic. And we heard a lot of that today. But he decides he's gonna craft this plan where instead of just talking to Penny about it or trying to break them up, which he thought about first, he's gonna get another friend to make her jealous.
Talk to Jane about it, because Jane is the master planner, and everyone talks to Jane when they want to do their dirty business.
Yes.
He really
I don't know if you guys have noticed that. It's always, Jane, what should we do? How should we do this? And she's always the orchestrator.
But if you notice, she didn't even say anything. He was just talking out loud and going through these thoughts, but just being in her presence brought out the manipulative part of his mind.
He's really trying to sabotage her relationship.
Jane's I didn't say any of that. I know, but whatever. I'm gonna do it anyway.
And he's like, "Girl, take credit." She's like, "Credit taken."
That's true.
Which I love, because she'll take credit for anything.
That's true.
She wants to be the one.
She's a car Jr.
He finds this friend, Nicole.
Because Nickel's worth more than a penny.
5 times more than Penny. Well, and her name is actually Nicole. But he's going to call her Nicole.
And he said that in front of Penny.
And, you know, because Max talks about how he misses her breakup stories. He misses, like, all of these things. And when the episode opens, they're kind of having a discussion about what she's done to sabotage her relationship. You know, why did he break up with her now? Did Pete break up with Penny because she made her faults list? No, he broke up with her because of this or that. Because she decided to show him her birth because she thought it would make them closer. Whatever weird things Penny does. They're talking about all of that in the beginning, and we find out, no, they hadn't broken up. They were still together, and the gang is...
It's an STD or a double STD.
Sorry to disappoint. So I think that the gang, they really, you know, mentally prepare that Penny won't last this boyfriend very long, and especially he's perfect looking, you know, he's a good looking guy. So it's kind of like, it's funny that her friend don't even root for her relationship.
Well, no, because she's never in a relationship, and this is what we had talked about in predictions and stuff in our, you know, last time, is wondering if this was going to last, because it does kind of mess with the dynamic of the group. There's always, you know, you always have your funny friend or your married friend or your single, and Penny is always the one that's in, you know, always single. Her relationships always end for these ridiculous reasons. She kind of puts it out in the universe. And this time, you know, it's kind of working itself out a little, and Max got jealous. So he finds this crazy girl, Nicole, that's, you know, telling these stories, these crazy stories. And
she just happened to be Asian.
And then, you know, and then Penny tells Max, you know, I get what you're doing, but she doesn't. She's like, since I'm in this perfect relationship, you want me to fix your friends.
And he's like, no. And then she starts talking, you know, going into it. And then that's when
then she sends, you know, she sets her up with Pete's brother. And it's just, again, Max is knocked out of the group, and he's like, this is not going according to plan.
That's the second time he got knocked out of the group. And it was Jonathan, right? I think was his name. Or Johnny?
It was, I thought it was Steve.
Or was it Steve? Well, Ronnie, did you catch his name?
No, I didn't catch the exact name. But no, that was
I thought it was Jonathan.
It was Jonathan?
Oh,
okay.
And then he brought in his nickel, which was bigger than a penny, and then he still became the oddball. So it was.
But I know that they
thought of it instantly with Penny, one of the seasons, you know, she brought in her replacement of Max within Derek. So I'm kind of wondering how much we'll see, you know, of crazy Asian Nicole. You know, like we may see a lot of her throughout the season. So that would be kind of exciting to have this, you know, kind of like a psychotic character into the season.
Definitely.
No, it would be funny to see kind of a dynamic if she's still around and then Derek comes back. Like, I would like to see the four of them hang out and kind of see what kind of transpires with that. I think that would be really funny.
Or Penny get jealous later. You know, if Penny...
Well, and she is bound to, you know, but...
Definitely.
You know, they have this whole thing going on, and Penny thinks that she is just the master relationship person. She's been in this relationship for almost, you know, let's say 2 work weeks. And
11 nights.
You know, she's talking to herself in the mirror like she's on a talk show, and like somebody's asking her, you know, how do you make this work? And she's like, I don't know, I'm just, you know, it's just this really funny back and forth she has with herself. And then, lo and behold, she makes the fault list, and Pete finds it. And gets really, you know, gets upset. He's weirded out, and he takes off.
And she runs to the door. I'm pregnant. No, I mean, I could be if it made you stay, but we could sell it. I was like, we can make money off of it.
We can sell it and live off the money.
It's like, girl. Damn.
And then, you know, Max is happy because they're back together, and she's telling him her breakup story, how she chased him down the block, chased him into the convenience store, hid behind a magazine rack. Her shirt comes open, her boob pops out.
One.
The bad one.
And
she's like the right one.
Lefty or righty?
Yeah.
Righty, and he's like, but both of them are bad.
Both of them are bad to me.
It's ironic because she make fun of her of Pete's, you know, nipple because it hangs like a quarter lower, a quarter of an inch lower, and when her boobs are not even perfect, it's just hilarious when she. You know, not the perfect character.
And then she tries to cover it up with the bridal magazine, and he sees her, which is, you know, like the worst thing you can do to a new boyfriend is start looking through bridal magazines. That'll make him run for the hills immediately.
Of course, Penny would do that.
Yeah, of course.
Definitely.
So.
And what was on her list that he had a B. Arthur body or something like that?
No, that was on Max's list. That was on her list for Max, because Max is there with her, trying to make her. They're laughing about it, and then he realizes she's really heartbroken. She's really liked this guy. So he decides to kind of bring them back together. So he goes to talk to Pete, and he shows Pete the fault list she made of him when they dated. And one of the things on that list was that he had to be our third body.
And that when he had sex, after they had sex, where they were laying in bed, he's like, "This is not what I want." Or
no, while
like
they're having sex, he whispered, "This isn't what I want." She says, "Yeah, it seemed like a shout to me." But he, basically it was like the longer the list, the greater the guy. And he was, he told Pete, "Don't ruin it over some silly list," and brings them back together, and it's all super cute and all, and they all high five each other, and it's great.
When they show the nipples, and he's like, "They're here," and then he's like, "Actually, there." He's like, "Oh," and she's like, "But I love them," and it was like, "Oh, you do," and then that's when they made out.
Yeah, because she had something on his list about his nipples, how he pronounced quinoa wrong.
Yeah, quinoa. I don't know how he did it.
Quinoa. I don't remember how she said he pronounced it, but he pronounced it wrong. And he was too much of a nice guy in the bedroom, or in the boudoir.
In the boudoir.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good.
So, but they're back together, and all is well for now.
Until
I don't
Penny,
know.
well, he admitted, he's like, "Penny, you're weird, but I like you. Like, you're just odd." And
he seems pretty real to Penny, I would say.
Yeah.
I
I
do
like them
him.
together.
He's the normal guy, the first normal guy for Penny. So
yeah,
I'm rooting for them.
I'm hoping that they'll last.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, let's get into some music gossip, and then we can talk about our predictions.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So I heard that RuPaul is going to be making a guest appearance on the show.
Wow.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
Boom.
So who do you think that he could possibly be playing, or she could possibly be playing? I'm sorry.
He might be like, it'd be really funny if they turned him into like Brad's fraternal twin or something random, and kind of like pokes at his masculinity, like kind of in a light way, not like bad, but because his character's a little. It's very metro. Either that
metro,
or just someone's like adopted aunt.
Or maybe
something.
or maybe Max go to like a gay club.
Or maybe like a drag show.
A drag show, definitely.
Yeah. And seeking out friends.
And
Max seeking man, like he's like, "This is my new friend."
I definitely feel like it could be Max with the going to a drag show or whatever. But I just want whatever it is with RuPaul to be playing some type of great interaction with Jane.
Yes.
You guys know that I'm like obsessed with her character. She's like one of my favorites, and
definitely.
I think some type of competitive like Jane. Almost doing like a runway versus RuPaul doing the runway. Some competitive thing right there would really be hysterical for me, just because of the way Jane acts, the way she's so disciplined with her life. Like that, I think would be where I'd want it to go.
Oh, absolutely. That would be super funny. But one of the greatest things that I saw online today, and I don't know if you saw it, Ronnie, I tweeted it out, but they have BuzzFeed.com, or BuzzSugar.com actually, made Happy Endings paper dolls. So you can get your very own Happy Endings paper doll. Each of the cast member has its own paper doll set. So you can, cut them out and play while you're watching the show. You can dress them up. Brad's paper doll set has a long blue t-shirt dress that he was wearing.
He rocked that, by the way.
Yeah,
he did
rock his suit. Dave has his Navajo Dave jacket and his V-necks, of course.
But
I like how his body, like his paper doll body, has a V-neck tan. like a V-neck farmer's tan. It's fantastic. And in Jane, she's got her pink hair and her kind of Gwen Stefani type outfit. And Alex has the racist parrot that you can put with her. And I think it's hilarious. So definitely pick up your Happy Endings paper dolls. I think that's funny.
Speaking of parrots, I once heard parrots purr like a cat. It was the oddest thing. I don't know where they picked that up.
That's weird.
Yeah, they would purr like cats, I swear. Anyway.
Creepy.
Yeah.
I don't know about all that.
Yeah, they really were purring.
Well, let's get into some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Ronnie, let's start with you.
Ooh, let's do, as I was saying, I think Dave is going to be completely okay with, anything that makes him look awkward or goofy. Gosh, who else? What's going to develop? I guess I'm still stuck on the Penny thing because she's just so funny. I think we all want to see her character, get lost in and out of love. I think we definitely want to see that. I think the character is actually really cool that she is dating. Yes. What is he? Was he a doctor? Was that his thing?
Pete's profession?
Yeah, was he a doctor? What was he? What was his
No,
deal?
I don't think he's a doctor.
He was like a subtle guy, so I want to see, that subtle guy with crazy
He's too
things,
perfect
for sure.
to be
And
a
I think that's what
doctor.
we will see.
Yeah, no, I hope he sticks around for a few more episodes. I think that'll be,
definitely.
that'll be great to see. What do you think?
And that particular actor, he's been around forever, and he just never books like a big role. So I mean, he kind of does. That's that Nick Dano. I think he started with MTV years ago and did a bunch of things like on the CW network and every damn canceled show. So hopefully this could be his big hit. Much like Casey Wilson when she did SNL, and that didn't hit for her. And then now she's as big as can be. I mean, she hosted Chelsea this week or recently,
I saw
where she got to actually interview what's his name, Adam Pally also. So I thought that was like a cool thing in the sense of where these characters go on the show and then bigger, way beyond happy endings.
Yeah, well, she also sold a show, and so did Adam Pally. So they're doing a lot of big things. And, Nick Dano has been around for a while. He was, on that Amanda Bynes show for a long time with Jenny Garth, and that was on forever. And, he's done a lot of other stuff. And he also was on Two Broke Girls, and he's going to be back on Two Broke Girls this week also. So we'll see. Maybe he'll be on both shows. Maybe he's got a double gig. So we'll see what's going on with that. So what do you guys think?
Well, I think that Alex and Dave are going to have dinner with their parents. I just have a feeling that Dad's going to kind of have a little talk with Dave. I could see something funny going about that. But I think the big thing is Penny, and she may partner up with someone to do this, but Max is the only one that's not partnered up. So I think they're going to try to find Max love, and maybe that's how this RuPaul will play. I don't know, but it just seems like they're going to try to remedy that situation, fix that somehow.
Well, I want Grant to come back and Max and Grant to be back together. That was
I
my
agree, because I feel like Max is a little bit lonely right now. They kind of just like leave him the fifth wheel and the sixth wheel and the seventh wheel every time.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think he kind of likes it that way. We've seen him in a relationship, and it kind of goes both ways for him. He's not really all that comfortable being in a relationship. He likes it one minute, doesn't the next. So maybe we'll see him kind of evolve a little bit and, have a relationship that lasts a little longer. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you so much for hanging out with us. Love the show. Can't wait to see what happens next week. Don't forget to go to AfterBuzz TV and follow us on Twitter, and go to iTunes, rate, download, and comment. We really appreciate it. And you can find me on Twitter at Kellie with an IE 079. And where can they find you guys?
Ronnie, thank you for joining us, by the way. And you can find me at Thomas Guide. You can twidazzle me, TOMASGUIDE.
Thanks again, Ronnie. For my Twitter is at the Farren K.
And of course, our lovely co-host Ronnie, who we need him to come back to LA desperately. Where can they find you, sir?
They can find me at Ronnie Jr Media on my Twitter, and then on my blog, which I'm revamping for January with a lot of great stuff about me being in New York City. It's randomly RonnieJr.com, and when I'm not twittering on my own, I'm obsessively stalking Kellie's Twitter, because it's the best Twitter out there, guaranteed, hands down.
Thanks. And we're gonna have Prentice Penny. He was supposed to be here this week, but we changed it around to next week, so he will be back in studio. So maybe you can join us again next week, Ronnie, if you're not too busy living it up in big NYC.
Yes, I'll call you guys.
All right, thanks again, guys, and we will see you all next week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.